heels on. I wanted to take them off so I can be comfortable up here. Like he said, my name is Patti Harrison. I was born and raised in and out of Etobicoke and Oshawa, Ontario. I grew up the oldest of 3 children in a home with my father Rick and my mom Trudy and my brothers Sean and Stephen. I had a troubled childhood. I was diagnosed young with ADHD, but in those days it wasn't popular to put your kids on medication, since my dad got to see exactly what that medication did to my cousin. So I wasn't medicated, which meant that my teenage years were particularly tough. I don't know if any of you know what it's like to grow up in a house where you're battling the inside of your head and trying to fit into the rules of your home, fighting with your siblings, fighting with your parents. It can be a little bit difficult. So I think I was 15 and 15 years old. This is my mom Trudy here. And it came to a big argument between my dad and I over chicken fried rice. Yeah, the rule in my house was that if you brought anything into the home, you had to make sure you had enough for everyone. We didn't have a lot of money, and I had a babysitting job, and I really wanted to have my own chicken fried rice, and I really didn't care about the rules because I thought they were stupid. So I bought the rice, and I brought it home. And it caused a fight between my dad and I, which led him to be really upset because at this point my parents had just had enough with me and my rebellion and my disobeying. And my dad said, if you don't like the rules in this house, you can leave. At 15, I'm sure all of you know that if your parents challenge you with something like that, are you going to listen to them? Or are you going to assert your dominance and say, I know better than you, I'm going to do what I want? Well, I did what I wanted, and I left. I called him on his bluff, because really, honestly, I didn't think he was going to let me leave. But he did. And I walked to a friend's house, and I could hear my mom yelling at my dad for letting me leave. But I was going to be the bigger person, and I was going to go. I got to my friend's house and she was grounded. But she knew this guy from high school that had his own place. So I could go there for the night and I'd be okay. Well, it was about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning when I got there. And you could hear the music playing. And this little girl, opened the door and let me in. None of the adults were awake, just the little girl. And she took me by the hand and we went and sat on the couch and we watched TV until I fell asleep. I thought, okay, I have little brothers and I'm going to take care of her and make sure she's safe and stay here with her. I was woken up by a scream and I went to see what it was. And I guess the house had 3 levels, basement, main floor, upstairs. So I went upstairs to see what was going on, and there was a woman sitting in a chair being injected in the arm with IV drugs by a really big colored man who she was performing oral on. And I wasn't supposed to be there. And he was freaked out that I saw what was going on, and I got thrown down the stairs, where I guess I saw too much, and I was held there in the basement for I don't know how long. I wasn't fed. I wasn't taken care of. I didn't know what was going on. I knew that my mom and dad probably missed me, but nobody really knew what was happening. And I blacked in and out, and I remember the little girl peeking through the door, and then I blacked out again. I was woken up by the prostitute that I found upstairs, and she brought me McDonald's because she, I guess, realized that I hadn't been eating. The guy that my friend knew from school, Buddy, was one of the dealers there, and he said, "Oh, you want to associate with the whore? I'm going to treat you like her. We're going to put you to work." Well, I was tied up and beaten and raped repeatedly, over and over again, by all the drug dealers that were coming in and out of that house. All I remember is praying that God would take me, because I didn't need to be treated like that. And why is this happening to me? Is this what happens when you disobey your parents? So this went on for a while, and I was given two choices. I could be a prostitute, or I could go for walks with the guys that ran the house. I was told to keep plastic in my mouth. Go for walks, we'd meet up with people in a dark alley, I'd spit the plastic on the floor, and the woman would pick it up and give him money, and that was it. Well, we got raided by police in behind the Harvey's parking lot, and I had to swallow the plastic. And the next day after that, I was beaten until I went through my own stool to find all the pieces of plastic, to find out later that it was crack cocaine, and I was being used as a drug mule. So finally, we got away, and I don't remember what time in the morning it was. My mom's friend from bowling came and got me. I don't know why I wasn't tied up or locked up. I was just laying there. Shelly came in. My mom had been communicating with her because the police had been letting her know what was going on with me. She worked at Tim Hortons and they came to see her at work. And I don't know why they didn't come in and get me, but they didn't. Shelly came in, the same little girl that let me in, let her in, and I was okay. Well, I had infections. I was not healthy, and I tried to commit suicide. The depression and everything that happened afterwards was just too much. I drank a lot of booze and I took a lot of pills, and my mom came. I guess I had enough sense to call my mom to come and get me. I was really sick. My mom came and got me, and took me to the hospital. Well, they told me at the hospital that I was pregnant. So when you're 15 and you're pregnant, doctor's first go-to is always, let me tell you your options. For most of my pregnancy, I had a lot of ultrasounds, biophysicals, and tests because they told me that my son wasn't going to be healthy. Abortion was thrown out there many times. My mom, thank God, was really, really supportive. My dad, not so much. His family wasn't supporting the idea of their 15-year-old family member having a black baby unmarried. We were going to Calvary Baptist Church at the time. I was raised Baptist. When they found out I was pregnant, I lost a lot of support from my youth group. The only support that I really had was my mom. And she took me to this program called the Rose of Durham. The Rose of Durham taught me how to do Lamaze. They gave me counseling. They taught me a lot of stuff about what I would need to know how to be a good mom. They also gave me the option to put my son up for adoption if I wasn't able to be a mom to him. Because him being conceived under the circumstances that he was, it was going to be very difficult for me to raise my son. Now, it got really dangerous for me to be in Oshawa. My parents wanted to support me, but the people that had held me were calling their building, threatening them if they didn't tell him where I was. So I chose to move to Windsor, Ontario. My grandma was there, and I had a little bit of family. Well, moved to Windsor, kept in contact with my parents. It was difficult for my mom to let me go. but she supported me through it all. Now, I did have post-traumatic stress disorder, and I did have pretty bad depression, and I was diagnosed later with bipolar disorder. The sexual assault didn't help, the trauma, and my son had disabilities, which made raising him a little difficult. I couldn't even have a conversation with the black man. The post-traumatic stress disorder was so bad. We were in the grocery store one time, and a credit card guy tried to come up and offer me a credit card, and I had a complete panic attack in the middle of the store. My husband had to divert him so that I could stop crying and breathe. Through healing masses, counseling, and medication, I was able to overcome that PTSD, become a successful mom to my now 22-year-old son, and be able to get up here and share my story with you to hope that it helps you to someday help someone else to keep their baby. Would have having an abortion helped me? No. It wouldn't have changed the fact that I was raped. Would having an abortion have stopped me from having post-traumatic stress disorder? No, it wouldn't have. Killing my baby would have just furthered the abuse that happened to me. I would have been giving my child a death sentence that he didn't deserve. Why? Because it would have been easier on me? No, because then I would have had to live every single day with that guilt that I took a human life. And regardless of what our government wants us to believe, a human man and a human woman can't make a horse. We have to believe that everybody, from conception to natural death, deserves human rights and deserves the right to life. My child, no matter how he was conceived, deserved the right to live and deserved the right to change the lives of everyone that meets him. He's amazing. My daughter was also conceived in rape. I was drunk, watching sports with a friend, passed out. 2 months later, went to the doctor with what I thought was a bladder infection, was told I was pregnant. Found out afterwards, well, he decided that he needed to deal with his own urges, and I was there, passed out. So I have my daughter, and my husband was actually sexual assaulted by his ex-wife. So all of our kids were conceived unconventionally, and all of our kids deserved the life that they have and love today. So what do I want you to take from my story? Yes, it's terrible and it happened, but God has given me the strength to get up here and share it with you. For you to be able to share it with everyone else who says to you, well, what if she's raped? Well, what if she's raped? So what? Do you guys know the statistics on the hard cases? What the percentage is of abortion that is done for women that are incested or raped? Do you know the percentage? 1%. Google it. 1%. 99% are for sexual contraceptive or because it's inconvenient or for whatever other reason. It has nothing to do with what they want us to believe. Please choose life, support each other, support a pregnancy center that's in your neighborhood. That's why we do Baby Steps, which is a pregnancy and infant loss outreach center. We support women that have miscarried, had a stillbirth, SIDS, or that have had an abortion and regret their abortion. So we help to counsel women that need help. There's a crisis pregnancy center in every community. So if you can support them and help them, or just be a voice to those girls that think they have no choice, because they always have a choice, and they can always choose life. So if you have any questions, or you'd like to talk to me after, I'm here for dinner. We're leaving shortly after because we have to drive back to Windsor. But I thank you very much for inviting me here, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my story.